Welcome to the Manifesting Millions podcast. I am your host, Rashida McFerrin. And first off, what I want you to do is head over to rashida.ai and grab your exclusive millionaire mindset guide so you can get started on your journey to becoming a millionaire. And then I want you to come back over here and continue listening to our 50th episode. And today it is officially our 1 year anniversary from launching a year ago. I just want to kind of shoot the breeze and talk about some of the stuff that I've learned, some of the stuff that we've improved on, and then set the stage for what you can expect next from the Manifesting Millions podcast. So, number one, I cannot believe it's been 1 full year since we launched. 365 days ago, we launched the Manifesting Millions podcast in my car while I was picking up my son. Technically, I was waiting on my son to be released from school, and I recorded my first episode in the car. Literally did not know what I was doing, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to hit record. I was listening to Jenna Kutcher and Amy Porterfield at the time, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to jump and dive in and see what happens. And here we are 50 episodes later, just too shy of technically having done an episode almost a week. So next week we'll hit the 52 episodes, but hey, who's counting? Technically, I am counting. That's the Virgo in me, the perfectionism in me. But, for once in my life, I'm trying to let go of the perfectionism. I've been doing that a lot since I launched my business over a year ago. But this is something to be celebrated. And so I'm super excited to just be here in this space and honestly relishing in the fact that we made it to a year. Like, that's a big deal. It's a really big deal. Today marks our 1 year anniversary from launching. And here are a few things that I've learned while doing this podcast. Number one, the power of networking. So when I initially started the podcast, and even now as I record this episode today, it is a single person audio. I don't even know what's the official term for it. I'm not interviewing. I haven't interviewed anyone yet on this podcast. There have been people asking me to come on the podcast for well over a year. We've had some amazing guests reach out, and respectfully, I have told people no because I just wasn't in a space where I was ready to start interviewing people. I wanted to get a handle on what it felt like to have a podcast, to own a podcast, to monetize a podcast, to produce a podcast, to edit a podcast. It's been a whole thing. And the funny part is, so we started out with Spotify podcasters, and then I think Riverside bought out Spotify podcasters maybe mid-year. And so almost like right after we launched, like 2 to 3 months after we launched, we had to switch over to Riverside. We've had this amazing experience on Riverside, but it was just last year was a lot of ups and downs and changes for me and my business. It didn't stop when we launched this podcast. It just kind of just went with the flow of everything that was either going right or either going wrong. But yes, we are here. So networking, definitely this is a great opportunity for you to, number one, build your audience. Number two, to get in front of people that would ever have come across your content otherwise. And then number three, it's a great opportunity for you to promote your products. I have courses, freebies, of course. It's a great opportunity for you to meet some amazing people in your space. And it gives me a different lens into networking because, again, I come from a very corporate banking background in finance where networking has always been so stiff. This is not like that. You kind of just let your hair down. You talk about things that are important to you that you think can be useful to other people. And that content reaches people and it allows you to grow your listening audience and your platform, which is amazing. I'm so thankful that I listened to Jenna and Amy, and they were like, just girl, launch the podcast. Like, just do it. Just push record. And I was like, okay. Number two, embracing continuous learning. There is no way for me to possibly try to comprehend comprehend the amount of learning that I've done over this past year. There are ways to get better. I definitely want to take my podcast game up to the next level. But I think the main thing that's come from us recording is the consistency. This has been the one thing that I have been consistent with in regards to producing content. That and I guess posting on social media. But posting on social media, I know it's content, but it's kind of like, it's usually either hit or miss. When you take the time to put together episodes, to plan them out, to batch content, and put your voice out into the world, it takes on a different energy. And then it also gives you the opportunity to continue to become a brand authority within your field, within your industry. Like I am naturally a brand authority in finance, considering the fact that I've worked in finance for the last 18 years, almost 19 in April. Oh my God, I cannot believe that. Like time is flying by. The window of learning new things and then innovating from those things in order to get better just never stops. Like I literally was sitting listening to one of Amy Porterfield's podcast today. She was interviewing the Holla girl. That girl is, I think, a specialist on LinkedIn. And I learned like 3 or 4 tips that I literally did not know about LinkedIn's algorithm while I was sitting there listening to the podcast. And I'm like, see, that's what I'm talking about. You want that type of information when you are listening to someone on a regular basis because it helps you grow. Then the last one is prioritizing consistency over perfection. Ooh, I have to take a breath on this one. I cannot tell you how much it has taken me in order to let go of my constant perfectionism. Just overall, like, again, I think the fact that my industry plays a part in the fact that I'm a perfectionist. Over this last year, I have prioritized consistency versus an episode being perfect, versus if I mess up and say something wrong, versus like getting it just right in order to release it to the audience. And I cannot tell you how much of a breath of fresh air that has been for me because I'm so used to functioning at such a high level of excellence in what I do because it literally is required to be a part of the blue chip banks that I work for. Your level of error is very much like less than 5% in regards to how you have to show up in that role, how you have to perform in that role, and then how you have to deal with regulators in that role. It's been a breath of fresh air because the reality is stuff ain't gonna always go right. That's just the reality, period. And I understand wanting to have the concept of presenting perfection in order to have a great product. I get that part, but also understand the concept of being real and presenting what's true and what is authentic to my audience that lets them know that I'm real just like they are and that I'm not some robot just over here constantly churning out stuff over and over again and always hitting the nail with the hammer. This has been a big deal. I'm actually proud of myself. The goal was consistency. The goal was 52 episodes over a period of 365. We at 50. And truth be told, if I really want to hit that 52 number, I can technically batch content for the next 2 hours and hit that number. Honestly, it's just really not that serious. I'm going to let the concept of prioritizing my consistency over perfection reign supreme in this moment. And I'm going to honor myself for the fact that we did 50 episodes, which means that that's almost an episode a week for 365 days. I'm proud of myself. So I'm going to pat myself on the back. Pat, pats. Good job, Rashida. And I'm looking forward to innovating and taking my podcast and my platform and my brand to the next level because I feel like I'm finding my place here in this world and it's taking me a minute. It's taking some figuring stuff out, but it's slowly starting to come together. And one of the things that I want to point out in regards to participating like in the masterminds and doing the the digital courses and starting an online business or a digital business is that it doesn't happen overnight. And I know when we get into like these webinars and the workshops, it feels like they're presenting to you a finished product that's going to happen so fast. And the reality is that the more you peel back the layers and you're talking to these entrepreneurs who have gone through this process, the more you get into like the deep sea part of it and you're out of the shallow water, you realize that a lot of them, it took them 4 to 5 years to build a solid, profitable business that is a seven-figure business. I would encourage you, if you're jumping out into this digital space and creating an online business, to not put so much pressure on yourself to have $1 million business within a year. Technically, according to finance terms, we're almost not even expecting you to break even and be in the green at the end of year one. Like that's how we look at it because we know in order for you to build a stable product in the market that's bringing a return, it takes time. That's just some food for thought. And I think that's it. I really didn't have much else to talk about other than the fact that we just turned one today. Yay. And we're celebrating. You have to celebrate your big wins and your small wins. This is a big win for me. Like, this is a big win for my company. This is huge. And on top of that, so starting with the Manifesting Millions podcast, we also did a rebrand of my course towards the end of the year, and I had to go in and recreate all brand new content. And I did it against my own personal recommendation, but my coach had told me a year prior that I needed to redo my content, and I just was not trying to hear that. But I ended up doing it anyway. So sometimes you have to live through learning a lesson that takes you a year to learn. This ends up being the springboard to what is now my Manifesting Millions Academy. I'm happy. I'm happy with the results. I'm happy with where we are, and we will continue to grow. What to expect next? I'm just going to say for right now, you can expect us to keep innovating and growing. I am looking forward to actually having some people on and interviewing people this year, which is going to be, again, another learning avenue for me because I have never interviewed anyone before. So that's going to be, it's going to take some getting used to. But other than that, I am looking forward to see where we can take it. And so, as always, if this episode has encouraged you in any way, share it with a friend. It's literally just a celebration episode of owning the fact that, hey, it's been a year. Proud of myself and my team, what I've hired people in to help me and my company. And we will see you next year at year two, celebrating on the same day. I'm so excited to continue building. As always, you can find us over on Rashida.ai. Grab your freebie, your Manifesting Millions mindset guide, and our course offerings are listed on my website as well. And until when, I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.